And I was actually running late to that interview after an interview with another club, and I thought I was in for a bit of a trick question and whatnot, but they were so good. I think they offered us lollies in there as well, and I think everyone thought it was a trap. Sort of in my top age year, was lucky enough to get invited to an early Allies camp where we sort of did a little bit of speed dating with some clubs, and that was sort of my first experience getting to know some of the recruiters and sort of starting to understand what it would be like for that year. I was lucky enough to go to the draft combine, which was a really good weekend just across the board. It was really fun getting to sort of spend that last weekend with all the players I'd sort of played with throughout the last 2 years, and yeah, that was when it all sort of came to a head. I honestly didn't even consider Geelong to be interested. Obviously Liam Woodland was the recruiter that came to my house in Albury, and we had a chat, but it was very informal and very low key. He was obviously a really good guy and just more just happy to talk about the love of the game and sort of my interests and that sort of stuff, and I didn't really think that much of it. And then at the draft combine was sort of when all the big boys were in there, which was nice, and I was actually running late to that interview after an interview with another club, and I was very sort of rattled, but they were absolutely amazing about it, and I thought I was in for a bit of a trick question and whatnot, but they were so good. I think they offered us lollies in there as well, and I think everyone thought it was a trap, but now, knowing what I do now, that they're honestly just pretty low-key guys and pretty cruisy, so they were my first sort of big interactions, and Mac was there, Wellesley and all the sort of recruiting team and that sort of stuff. So I think my whole experience with Geelong, I never really expected to honestly come here, and I'm very grateful that I did, but just the whole experience is exactly, or well, I would say as authentic as they are of people now that I know them well. So yeah, it was pretty cool looking back on it. I was obviously lucky enough to go to the draft and experience that, which I think was amazing, to invite sort of my close friends and family to the night and get to celebrate with them. And I guess I had the luxury and probably the beauty of knowing that sort of I was going to go that first night, which sort of gave me a little bit of confidence, but in the same time I think I was super nervous because you just never want to be that outlier. So it was 11 picks, but it felt like the longest time of my life. When I sort of got to the range that I knew there was a few clubs interested in, I got very nervous because there was one or two that obviously selected otherwise, and I thought, oh, this could be me, the outlier that is sitting here at the end of night one, but was obviously lucky enough to come to the Cats, and obviously getting Joel's number and getting to get presented his Guernsey was a massive honour for me. But then also having Phoenix, my best mate, get drafted as well, that was obviously awesome. So for me it was just a massive whirlwind of a night, and I remember we were just sort of taken away after it with the media for a couple of hours, and you're so excited and you're talking to everyone and you're so up and about, and then once the night finally finishes and you take your photos and you take your group photo and you go home, you pretty much just hit a wall. And I remember there was a few people that were pretty keen, especially from my group, on going out and celebrating, but I remember I just pretty much crashed and burned the next day knowing that we had a few media commitments and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it was a pretty hectic night, but I'm obviously very grateful I got that opportunity. Yeah, obviously, yeah, I'd say massively full circle. I mean, you probably don't think about it when you're 6 years of age running out on the MCG, giving your medal on grand final day. You think it's obviously a cool experience, but you probably don't grasp just how huge it is. For me, it probably came as well in 2022. I was lucky enough to play an under-17s futures game before the 2022 AFL grand final on grand final day, and we stuck around and watched the game. And at the time, I was a Swans fan, but obviously the Cats got over the line in a big way. And for me, looking back on that the next year, and obviously being drafted here, it's sort of surreal how little moments in your life and special opportunities that you've had, how many times they've sort of linked to the Cats for me, and getting the experience of watching them play in the 2022 grand final and knowing what it feels like as a spectator, and now being in the inner sanctum, I think it's really cool.